Welcome to SVG-TV News for Friday, January 11th, 2019. I'm Yvette Boynes with the details. Representatives of the SVG Teachers Union, the Public Service Union and the Police Welfare Association walked away from a meeting with Prime Minister Dr. Ralph Gonsalves today after they were met with security issues outside of his office. The meeting, which was scheduled for 2 p.m., was initiated by the Prime Minister. In an interview with SVG-TV News outside the administrative complex in Kingstown, the leaders of the SVG-TU, Wendy Bino, the PSU's Elroy Boucher, and the chairman of the Police Welfare Association, Brenton Smith, said they were caught off guard by security measures put in place for the meeting, where they were asked to leave their phones outside, and after 15 minutes of waiting, they were told that if they do not leave their phones, there would be no meeting.
No meeting. We got to the Prime Minister's office on the outside. Security asked us to leave our phones. We decided we weren't leaving our phones. We asked the security to relay that message to the Prime Minister, and she came back and said the Prime Minister said if we don't leave our cell phones we won't have a meeting. So we decided, well, there will be no meeting because we're not leaving our phones.
It's a little shocking that you're asked to leave your phones. I've been to meetings, similar meetings, budget consultation and such. We really never ask, what is the security risk? We really don't know. And a lot of people come here, they expect to receive calls about their kids or their family because you don't know how long this meeting is really going to go. So the demands, just couldn't understand it. We just couldn't understand it. So it was not something that we really could have agreed to. Couldn't have agreed to that.
I didn't see the security risk in handing over our phones, and we decided not to. And we will just go back to the drawing board and see what it takes from here. Okay. Our membership is what is important, first and foremost, our membership, and we seek guidance from them, of course. That's how we proceed.
The meeting with the Prime Minister was to address issues of salary enhancement, pension reform and other related issues. The union leaders said they are still open for a meeting at a venue that has no restrictions. The PSU president suggests that the Prime Minister put together a negotiating team to meet with them.
He has enough time now to put a proper negotiating team in place to discuss salaries and the pension issue. It is this pension and salaries, the Public Service Union, Teachers Union, Police Welfare Association. It's a reform of the public service pension system. It doesn't really involve other unions. That's the three main unions. Put a proper negotiating team in place as is expected of any democratic administration, to sit down with the unions and have serious discussions on salary enhancement, on any changes to the public service pension system. He has enough time to do that.
Dr. Joseph Davy is urging Vincentians to practice good personal hygiene in order to reduce the risk of transmission of influenza and other respiratory viruses. Influenza or the flu is a contagious respiratory illness which affects thousands of people in the Caribbean each year. Typically, the flu season in the region occurs between September to March, when there is usually an increase in the number of persons coming down with the flu in the northern hemisphere. Some people have reportedly died in the region after contracting the flu. However, in an interview with SVG-TV News yesterday, Dr. Davy said it is usually other complications and not the flu virus itself which causes death, and highlight those persons who are most at risk.
Relating to the flu, but what essentially is happening is that those persons who may have passed would have had some complication. And I give you examples: people who are at risk, there'll be little babies, especially those under 6 months, and persons who are over the age of 65, and that's because their immune systems are very weak. In the children, it's underdeveloped, and in the old people, they've lost the immunity that they've had. For persons who are diabetic, they're also at risk. Persons who have cancer, and especially those receiving chemotherapy, they are also at risk. Of course, there are other genetic diseases which are rare. I'm not going to mention those, that may make someone predisposed to having complications of influenza.
Dr. Davy said there is no cure for the flu virus, and as such, prevention is key.
It's proven to be one of the single most effective technique for disease prevention, especially when we're talking about viruses. So good hand washing. If you don't know the technique, I guess we'd have to follow up with a video as to how to wash your hands. We can always do that. Or you can go on YouTube and you would see lots of examples of how to wash your hands. Then practicing proper cough etiquette. So if you know you have the flu, one, you should really be staying home, not be mingling with the rest of the population. But the best way is to cough in tissue. So you get the tissue and you cover your mouth properly, your mouth and nose, and then you discard of this tissue. We don't want handkerchiefs because they're being reused and other persons may actually touch these handkerchiefs. So tissue is best. If tissue is unavailable, the next best is in your elbow. You cough in your elbow. With the hands, your hands are small and of course your fingers, there's spaces between, so things may slip through. Okay? So after you've washed your hands, you've coughed properly, you stayed home because you're...
She said a proper diet, exercise and rest can reduce one's chance of infection and encourage persons to seek medical care when they exhibit symptoms.
3 things can really improve your health greatly and help you to defend yourself against diseases on a whole.
Okay, and in general, people should not be afraid of dying from the flu?
I don't think persons should be afraid of dying from the flu unless they're in the risk category that we mentioned. And even though you've attained the flu, while having the flu, if you take care of yourself, you really should not fall to the complications. But a lot of persons may get sick and not seek attention immediately. That's half of the problem. So if you turn up 3 days into a complication, then there's a problem for us.
So you figure if you come in with the symptoms, you should seek medical attention?
Yes, because you don't know how this thing is going to turn out. And I've always said to persons, most of these viral illnesses, they all start the same. Even Ebola has these same symptoms of headache, cough, fever, whatever. So you never know what you have until you really get tested. And if you come too late, sometimes there's little we can do for you if it's something complicated.
The Caribbean Public Health Agency said vaccination remains the most effective way to prevent the flu virus, with safe and effective vaccines being available and used for over 60 years. Striving even higher, 48 years of continuing excellence. This is the theme under which the Barley Secondary School, now named the Central Leeward Secondary, is observing its 48th anniversary of existence. As part of the celebration activities, 67 students were recognized today at an awards and prize-giving ceremony held at the school grounds. Principal of the school, Kenneth Holder, said it is important to motivate children through various forms, hence the awards in the fields of academics, sports, and public speaking.
We at the Barley Secondary School want to celebrate the hard work of our many students. We have a set of awards to make today. This is one way we take note of the reality that we have students at this institution who continue to strive ever higher for excellence. Today's awards ceremony, therefore, demonstrates that we do value our students and their parents and guardians. To be specific, today's ceremony emphasizes the fact that teachers, parents, and students, past and present, have the shared goal and purpose to produce excellence come what may.
Former student Gideon Nash, who delivered the feature address, challenged the students to make full use of the opportunities afforded to them at the school.
Let me challenge you as students. Where do you take excellence outside of the things that you can touch, feel, and see? I want to challenge you to strive for excellence in helping the poor, in helping the mentally challenged, the physically challenged. I want to challenge you to aim for excellence in helping those people. Strive for excellence in morality. Are you the biggest coursing student at the Barley Secondary School? Are you the one who, when an obscene language is cursed, that somebody will say, I know it's Gideon Nash? Are you the one? Are you striving to be the best student in morality?
Area Representative Sir Louis Straker also addressed the ceremony and said that he is pleased that he lobbied to have the new school building. He recommitted himself to making further contributions to the school and the constituency even after he retires from office.
The principle, I have adopted this school, so the Godfather would be ready and willing to make a contribution to help the school and to help you, the students. Let us hold before our eyes and live out in our lives the theme and the motto of this program and our school song: striving, striving, striving ever higher.
Meanwhile, Lennox Cummings and past principal of Verna Douglas were two of the first batch of students when the school first opened its doors 48 years ago. They say they are proud of its growth and achievements over the years.
You know, it was called New School because we had what was called Old School at the bottom. We had Top School at the top, and when the school was open, rather than call it secondary school, everybody say New School. So New School was opened, and as we know, the 11th of January 1971. When it was opened, we had about 9 classes. And students from the senior classes, when I say senior classes, because in those days they used to call it, the classes used to be called class. Class 1, class 2, class 3, up to class 6. So the senior part of the school, those schools, Layu, Barley, and Spring Village, were given the opportunity to attend the Barley Secondary School then. The older ones, like myself at that time, went to Form 3. Under that you had Form 2 and then Form 1. Maybe at the beginning, I will say, looking back, maybe about 270 to 300 students attended the school at the beginning.
In those days, the subject started because the children came from the senior classes of the primary school. They were just put into classes, as Cunningham said, before they were already placed into forms. Joe Finley was the agriculture teacher. Gaines was the woodwork industrial arts teacher. Roberts was English. Ash was math. Quor was math. Sylvia Kirby was English. And as Cunningham said, Miss Mary Dalbotton was the Spanish teacher. Ably directed and led by Mr. Bailey. The Barley Junior Secondary School was initiated then. There was a lot to be done, sorting students, forming classes, assigning teachers. But as I remember, we worked as a team.
A shooting incident in the Annersville area of Paulyard last evening has left a young man in his early 20s dead. Reports suggest that Osborne Rogers, who was originally from Barley, was shot in the chest while in the company of friends. At his former home in Barley, Rogers' uncle told SVG-TV News the family is not sure about the circumstances surrounding his death and that he last saw the youngster in October last year.
No one again spend like a weekend and go. That's the most thing to say about him.
When was the last time you saw him?
About 3 months ago. Yeah, he was to come down here Christmas Day to spend Christmas with me. He ain't come. Until I hear this sad news about him this morning.
Rogers is the last of 5 children. His uncle said that he is not close with any relatives and that up to the time of his death, they were not sure of his whereabouts or activities he was involved with.
Well, to me, he seems to be nice when he's down here. But X-ray when he's up down, he was troublesome. like a street boy. Yeah, right so.
Rogers' death has been recorded as the first homicide in the country for the new year. The police say his death is under investigation and are urging anyone who may have information that would lead to the arrest and prosecution of the perpetrator or perpetrators to call the ACP in charge of crime at 1784-456-1339. That's 1784-456-1339. The officer in charge of South Central Division at 1784-458-4200. 1784-458-4200. The officer in charge of CID at 1784-456-1810, 456-1810, or any police station. Vincentians are encouraged to stop animal cruelty. This call comes from Community Outreach Coordinator of Vincentian Society for the Prevention of Cruelty to Animals, the VSPCA, Janice Nelson, in an interview with SVG-TV News today.
A number which is poisoning. That is a terrible epidemic that I almost get calls for, or people will speak about that their neighbours or the lady down the road has poisoned their animals. I think that we should realise that these animals are a gift to mankind, and they actually look to us to show them love and care and not poisoning them, because it's excruciating pain that the animals go through for a long period of time before they die. And I think we can handle the situations a lot better rather than taking the course of actually harming and hurting an animal through poisoning. We also have the stray dogs. We get a lot of people calling the VSPCA hotline that there are dogs that are stray. Some of them are not stray dogs. They're just dogs where people have just not taken care of, and they become malnourished and have bad skin conditions, and then they don't bother to take care of them, where there is skin treatments that can take that to another level where they don't have to look at that bad way. So we can work together, you know, in terms of the well-being of these animals.
Nelson spoke about the three main services that the organization offers and explains how the services contribute to the well-being of animals in St. Vincent and the Grenadines.
Spay and neuter clinics that we do around the communities, and I teach the animal humane education in primary schools, and I also do the community outreach. These three main areas are very important in terms of the well-being of the animals of St. Vincent. We actually work very tirelessly in helping people to learn a little bit more about how to take care of their pets. We also offer our services if there are injured animals and people cannot really afford the professional vet fees. Then we actually try to outreach. Again, we will go to different communities and, you know, just help to foster and engage in conversations with animals, help them through bad situations that, you know, people might not understand the reason why their animal is behaving in a certain way. Pravo is a disease that a lot of pups get, and to know the signs is very helpful in trying to save that animal's life.
Nelson said the VSPCA, through various donors, also provides assistance to persons who are unable to provide medical care for their animals.
Well, what we actually try to do is help people in the communities that have low income money. You know, we understand that there are people with 3-4 dogs, they have children, you know, they have overheads of just daily maintenance of just food and just basic living, and they cannot afford vet fees, you know, but they do love and really care for their animals. They'll reach out to us, and we try to help with the actual cost and sometimes service of picking up the animal, depending on how far that is, and we would pay the cost of the vet bill and medication. But without donors, we can't really do that.
Meanwhile, a number of businesses in Beckwith came together to give support to the VSPCA. A donation of $4,600 EC was made to the organization to assist with its services to animals. The donation was acquired through the Open Golf Championship that was held at the Firefly Plantation's recently established golf course on New Year's Day. Members of the Royal St. Vincent and the Grenadines Police Force will come together this Sunday for a special Thanksgiving service. The service will be held at the Old Montrose Police Station Lecture Hall under the theme, "Giving Thanks, Lord, You Have Been So Good to Us." Sunday's service will feature praise and worship, motivational speeches, and testimonies. The sermon would be delivered by leading seaman Pastor Nolan James, who will also offer a special prayer for the RSVG Police Force. The service is expected to begin at 9:30 a.m.